Kazakhstan is located in Central Asia and Eastern Europe at 48 degrees north, 68 degrees east, 48 degrees north, 68 degrees east, 48, 68. With an area of about 2,724,800 square kilometers, Kazakhstan is more than twice the combined size of the other 4 Central Asian states, or about twice the size of Alaska. The country borders Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan to the south, Russia to the north, Russia and the Caspian Sea to the west, and China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region to the east. Topography and drainage. There is considerable topographical variation within Kazakhstan. The highest point is the top of the mountain Khan Tengra, on the Kyrgyz border in the Tian Shan range, with an elevation of 7,010 meters, or 21,999 feet above sea level. The lowest point is the bottom of the Karajir Depression at 132 meters, or 433 feet below sea level, in the Mangistau province east of the Caspian Sea. Most of the country lies at between 200 and 300 meters above sea level, but Kazakhstan's Caspian shore includes some of the lowest elevations on Earth. The peak Khan Tengra in the Tian Shan Mountains is Kazakhstan's highest elevation at 6,995 meters. Many of the peaks of the Altai and Tian Shan ranges are snow-covered year-round, and their runoff is the source for most of Kazakhstan's rivers and streams, except for the Tobol, Ishim, and Irtysh rivers, portions of which flow through Kazakhstan. All of Kazakhstan's rivers and streams are part of landlocked systems. They either flow into isolated bodies of water such as the Caspian Sea or simply disappear into the steppes and deserts of central and southern Kazakhstan. Many rivers, streams, and lakes are seasonal, evaporating in summer. The 3 largest bodies of water are Lake Balkhash, a partially fresh, partially saline lake in the east, near Almaty, and the Caspian and Aral Seas, both of which lie partially within Kazakhstan. More than 3/4 of the country, including the entire west and most of the south, is either semi-desert or desert. The terrain in these regions is bare, eroded, broken uplands, with sand dunes in the Kizilkum and Moyunkum deserts, which occupy south-central Kazakhstan. Climate. The climate in Kazakhstan is continental. In summer the temperatures average more than 30 degrees Celsius and in winter average minus 20 degrees Celsius. Environmental problems. The environment of Kazakhstan has been badly damaged by human activity. Most of the water in Kazakhstan is polluted by industrial effluents, pesticide and fertilizer residue, and, in some places, radioactive elements. The most visible damage has been to the Aral Sea, which as recently as the 1970s was larger than any of the Great Lakes of North America save Lake Superior. The sea began to shrink rapidly when sharply increased irrigation and other demands on the only significant tributaries, the Syedaya and the Amudaya, all but eliminated inflow. During the Soviet era, Kazakhstan received water from Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Kazakhstan provided oil and gas for these 2 nations in return. However, after the collapse of the USSR, this system had collapsed and no plan to replace this system has been put in place. According to research conducted by the International Crisis Group, there is little political will to solve this problem despite Central Asia's need for mutual resource sharing. By 1993 the Aral Sea had lost an estimated 60% of its volume, in the process breaking into 3 unconnected segments. Increasing salinity and reduced habitat have killed the Aral Sea's fish, hence destroying its once active fishing industry, and the receding shoreline has left the former port of Arals more than 70 kilometers from the water's edge. The depletion of this large body of water has increased temperature variations in the region, which in turn have had an impact on agriculture. A much greater agricultural impact, however, has come from the salt and pesticide-laden soil that the wind is known to carry as far away as the Himalaya Mountains and the Pacific Ocean. Deposition of this heavily saline soil on nearby fields effectively sterilizes them. Evidence suggests that salts, pesticides, and residues of chemical fertilizers are also adversely affecting human life around the former Aral Sea. Infant mortality in the region approaches 10% compared with the 1991 national rate of 2.7%. By contrast, the water level of the Caspian Sea has been rising steadily since 1978 for reasons that scientists have not been able to explain fully. At the northern end of the sea, more than 10,000 square kilometers of land in Atirau province have been flooded. Experts estimate that if current rates of increase persist, the coastal city of Atirau, 88 other population centers, and many of Kazakhstan's Caspian oil fields could be submerged by 2020. Wind erosion has also had an impact in the northern and central parts of the republic because of the introduction of wide-scale dryland wheat farming. In the 1950s and 1960s, much soil was lost when vast tracts of Kazakhstan's prairies were plowed under as part of Khrushchev's Virgin Lands agricultural project. By the mid-1990s, an estimated 60% of the republic's pastureland was in various stages of desertification. Industrial pollution is a bigger concern in Kazakhstan's manufacturing cities, where aging factories pump huge quantities of unfiltered pollutants into the air and groundwater. The former capital, Almaty, is particularly threatened, in part because of the post-independence boom in private automobile ownership. The gravest environmental threat to Kazakhstan comes from radiation, especially in the semi-region of the northeast, where the Soviet Union tested almost 500 nuclear weapons, 116 of them above ground. Often, such tests were conducted without evacuating or even alerting the local population. Although nuclear testing was halted in 1990, radiation poisoning, birth defects, severe anemia, and leukemia are thought to be very common in the area. With some conspicuous exceptions, lip service has been the primary official response to Kazakhstan's ecological problems. In February 1989, opposition to Soviet nuclear testing and its ill effects in Kazakhstan led to the creation of one of the republic's largest and most influential grassroots movements, Novaya Semipalatinsk, which was founded by Kazakh poet and public figure Altas Suleimanov. In the first week of the movement's existence, Novaya Semipalatinsk gathered more than 2 million signatures from Kazakhstanis of all ethnic groups on a petition to Mikhail Gorbachev demanding the end of nuclear testing in Kazakhstan. After a year of demonstrations and protests, the test ban took effect in 1990. It remained in force in 1996, although in 1995 at least one unexploded device reportedly was still in position near Semi. Once its major ecological objective was achieved, Novaya Semipalatinsk made various attempts to broaden into a more general political movement. It has not pursued a broad ecological or green agenda. A very small Green Party, Tabagit, made common cause with the political opposition in the Parliament of 1994. The government has established a Ministry of Ecology and Bioresources, with a separate administration for radioecology, but the ministry's programs are underfunded and given low priority. In 1994, only 23% of budgeted funds were actually allotted to environmental programs. Many official meetings and conferences are held, but few practical programs have gone into operation. In 1994, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and the United States Environmental Protection Agency agreed to give Kazakhstan $62 million to help the country overcome ecological problems, natural hazards, earthquakes in the south, mudslides around Almaty environment, current issues, radioactive or toxic chemical sites associated with its former defense industries and test ranges, are found throughout the country and pose health risks for humans and animals. Industrial pollution is severe in some cities, because the two main Rivers which flowed into the Aral Sea have been diverted for irrigation. It is drying up and leaving behind a harmful layer of chemical pesticides and natural salts. These substances are then picked up by the wind and blown into noxious dust storms. Pollution in the Caspian Sea, soil pollution from overuse of agricultural chemicals and salination from poor infrastructure and wasteful irrigation practices. Environment, international agreements. Party 2. Biodiversity, climate change, desertification, endangered species, ozone layer protection, ship pollution. Signed, but not ratified. Climate change Kyoto Protocol. Area and boundaries. Area total, 2,724,900 square kilometers. Land, 2,669,700 square kilometers. Water, 55,200 square kilometers. Land boundaries total, 13,364 kilometers. Border countries. The People's Republic of China 1,765 kilometers, Kyrgyzstan 1,212 kilometers, Russia 7,644 kilometers, Turkmenistan 413 kilometers. Uzbekistan 2,330 kilometers. Coastline 0 kilometers. The country is landlocked, but despite this, Kazakhstan borders the Aral Sea, now split into two bodies of water, and the Caspian Sea. Maritime claims. None. Elevation extremes. Lowest point, Karagia -132 meters. Highest point, Kantangiri Shinji 6,995 meters. Land use, arable land, 8.9%. Permanent crops, 0%. Permanent pastures, 68.5%. Forest, 1.2%. Other, 21.4%. Irrigated land 20,660 square kilometers. Total renewable water resources 107.5 cubic kilometers. Freshwater withdrawal total 21.14 cubic kilometers year. Per capita 1,304 cubic meters year.